guest is a pianist, producer, and songwriter, and at just 23 years old.
They are calling him the other kid from Akron.
He's the other kid from Akron.
Other Kid From Akron.
Other Kid From Akron.
Kofi is already poised for national success.
There's something about Kofi. He's not just your average musician. You know, we're there, but everyone's really coming to see him.
Yeah, that's Kofi.
I came back home to party in Akron, Ohio!
Is currently competing on the famed amateur night at the Apollo.
And won that grand prize. And in 2022, he was nominated twice for an Emmy Award. A year ago, a friend of Kofi posted a video of his animated and prolific playing, and overnight it went viral, capturing the attention of Hollywood and leading Kofi to performing on a screen in his first movie. He was only 22 at that time, playing alongside actress Naomi Aki in the movie I Want to Dance with Somebody. Will you please stand and welcome pianist and two-time Emmy-nominated producer, Kofi B.
Oh my goodness. How you doing, superstar? All right. It's the best I can do. Yeah! I like you. I like you. That's the energy I needed this morning. Yeah!
Oh, what's going on, everybody? Hey! Oh, how we feeling? How we feeling up here? Hey! Over here, how we feeling? Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, DJ. That's what I'm talking about. What an honor and a privilege it is to be here. Man, thank you so much. And to be here in San Diego, California, where the forecast says what it means what it says. Oh, trust me, coming from the heart of a native Midwesterner and a current East Coast resider, I truly appreciate that level of honesty. I do. I do. My clothes appreciate it for sure. Oh my goodness. Listen, to the powers that be, the leaders and the spearheaders, powers that be of DL24, thank you so much for having me. I've had the privilege and the honor over the course of my profession of what I've been doing, of going to so many different corporate events and luncheons and things of that nature, sometimes performing and now doing a lot more speaking. And it's always kind of interesting to be in certain places, but make no mistake about it, ain't no party like a deeper learning party. Y'all get down. And you don't play, I'm telling you. Oh man, it's been so cool to be here and spend so much time, and just thank you so much for your generosity and your hospitality on behalf of myself and my friends and my family that have been here with me. It's really been quite the honor and the privilege to be here. I do want to acknowledge some of my friends and family. Some of them were here and they're not here now, but the ones that are watching virtually, I appreciate you, but I also want to acknowledge some people that I have with me, man. I got my brother from another mother actually up there, who you might have saw on Tuesday with me on drums. I got Jeff Law, aka Chachi, everybody. A man of many talents, a jack of all trades, if you will, but he does like 2 or 3 good things for me at any given moment. You saw him playing drums for me on Tuesday, but he's also part of the reason I look as good as I do up here. He's my barber too, so. Yeah, the third job he kind of self-appointed himself to be. He says he's my personal bodyguard. Your check's still in the mail for that one, though, man. I don't know about that one, but I appreciate you, man. It's more than music with us, man. 10 years of working with me and rocking with me. That's loyalty that is extremely hard to find nowadays. Thank you so much for trusting what I do and believing in what I've been trying to build for all these years, man. You're an amazing father, an amazing family man, amazing husband. You got an amazing wife that's supportive as well. You're just a real deal, brother. I appreciate you, so thank you again for being with me. But in my short yet succinct and substantial 24 years of living, if there's one thing that I've noticed, it is that as important as it is to, live in the moment, it's also important to understand the meaning within the moment. And, I think in preparing this keynote for you all, I think I experienced all the stages of grief that you can think of. I really did. I mean, the uphill battles and the tears that I was having when I was writing about the journey of overcoming so many arduous things, while also celebrating the journey of achieving so many things in my life. Writing that within a couple hours span can lead you on quite the emotional roller coaster, to say the least. But throughout all those complex fractions of life, there was always one common denominator that stood there through the storm and strife. No matter the arena, the theater, the place, the venue, there's always one voice that I can always hear thinly above the rest. And that voice happens to be my mother, who is in attendance with me today as well. Yeah. Mama, there is no me without you. There is none of this. Literally, there's no me without you. But I thank you so much for everything that you've done to get me to this point. And as we encapsulate this awe-inspiring Women's History Month, I dedicate this speech to you. Yeah. Hey, listen, if I can be a morsel of the strong woman that you've been my entire life, then I think this speech will be a breeze, absolutely. I really do. But behind every great mother, there's sometimes an even greater grandmother. And my grandmother, who couldn't be with me today, but I know she's watching virtually. She had a schedule conflict. I wanted to bring her in, but she couldn't make it, and she's from down south. I know she watches saying, I'm a proud peacock watching my grandson. Oh, man, she's 81 years young, everybody. And she consistently supports two notions. Number one, age is nothing but a number. And two, black don't crack. You look good, Grandma. I already know. 81 years young, and just a few short months if the man above continues to be the good guy that he is, she'll be celebrating her 21st birthday. Yeah. Going on 82, but she acts like she's 28. I don't get it. Oh, man. Listen, I'm here for a good time and, well, somewhat of a long time. But while I'm up here, I hope that my words feel pretty brief, because I'm a firm believer naturally and big fan of the 5 B's. Be brief, brother, be brief. So while I hope my words have a long-lasting and fortuitous impact on all of your lives as you continue your individual journeys in education with undying faith and unwavering strength, I also hope you'll stay awake to hear them. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that introduction. I got to bring you on the road or something. I am a bigger fan of Michelle than Michelle is a fan of me, because when she reached out to me, she didn't know, but I saw her name when they sent me over the information. I was like, that name looks familiar. Growing up, I was a big TED Talk watcher. And I had come across a video of Michelle giving this amazing TED Talk introduction, and I mentioned it to her on the Zoom call, and she was like, I know who you are. I'm like, I know who you are. Yes. Oh, man, so I thank you so much. I know that so many people that read anything about me, you see anything about me, you read a bio or anything, and it can be a lot sometimes. I think it is a lot. You see videos like that, and it looks like everything's kind of great, but sometimes bios and titles can break reality. And growing up in the black church ethos, if you will, they always said things like, people see your glory but don't know your story. So I feel like it's only right if I can take myself a brief backwards real quick before I bring myself forward to you all, if that's okay with you. So I grew up here in the inner city of North Akron, Ohio, right? The yellow tape became a familiar scene. Body etchings outside occasionally were a familiar scene. And it wasn't until I was about 5 years old that we moved to an actual house, right? But that house didn't get us out the hood per se, but it certainly brought a sense of stability to a single mother raising 3 young boys on her own to be 3 independent young men, the stability that she needed. My father, as my brother would oftentimes describe it, maybe could be best described as a part-time worker that wasn't too good at his job. Meaning he wasn't there all the time, but when he was there, it was better off that he wasn't there. And around the age of 8, my father made the decision to leave out of me and my 2 older brothers' lives. But when he left, he didn't leave silent. He said, you won't amount to anything. You won't be anything without me. You'll be worthless, and you'll be homeless without me. And for a brief time in my life, me and my family were homeless. But my mother did a great job of shielding us from those realities that we were living in. And so I had a choice at that time, Deeper Learning Conference. I could fold and I could believe those words that my father said, or I could flourish and I could do whatever I believe I said I could do. And here I am today. A couple years later, I guess you could say that, I made the right decision. But even when I was walking or kind of just flying into here, I realized that it kind of hit me. I'll never understand people that have never walked in your shoes having the audacity to tell you what your ceiling is. I mean, for somebody to tell you what you can't accomplish in this world, it is absolutely crazy to me. I remember growing up, people would always kind of ask me what my dreams and my ambitions and my passions were, and then I'd begin to express it to them, and then they'd hit me with so much negativity saying that it was impossible. Maybe I should just do something different. Maybe I should get a plan B or be an engineer because most educated black men are in Akron. That's what they told me. And I remember I had to listen to that negativity so much, but then eventually I started switching those negatives into a positive, that impossible into I'm possible. You know, because when they say you're worthless, I say you're worth it. When statistics deemed me stupid, I deemed myself successful. When society calls you lost and hopeless, I call you optimistic and ambitious because the choice is yours. Yeah, the opportunity to be the best version of yourself in this room is yours, and it is up to you in your life to choose to make it happen and do so. That wasn't even written in here, but that was all right with me. Oh my goodness. Okay, I feel warmed up now. Can I give an actual speech, Deeper Learning Conference? I asked, can I give a speech, everybody? All right, well, Michelle, Mama, Chachi, they want one. Let's give them one. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, I said good afternoon, everybody. See, I'm excited to be here. See, this moment is not about me. But it is certainly about the collective energy of thousands of student leaders, visionaries, and educators gathered here in this great city of San Diego, poised to ignite a spark that will light the path to unparalleled learning experiences with a level of fervor, fight, and ferocity that this world has never seen before. Make some noise for yourselves, everybody. It is so cool to be here. It's been a true celebration of excellence, and just in meeting so many of you, it has just been so refreshing. I know that I'm surrounded around so many teachers that are destined to make the next generation the best generation. You know, it's always refreshing, though, as a 24-year-old to be in these rooms with so many brilliant minds like yourselves, because, I mean, I remember just a couple years ago, you would have been my teacher, you know what I mean? Just a couple years ago, I vividly still remember being that 17 and 18-year-old student that was just preparing for that upcoming graduation in my life. And when people would find out that I was a senior, they'd hit me with the same messages that I'm sure that most seniors get nowadays. Congratulations, I'm so proud of you, Kofi, that's so great. And before I could get my thank you out, they'd hit me with another question. So what's next? I mean, what degree are you going to get? What college are you going to go to? What career path are you going to go to? What's next? What's next with diploma? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? It's crazy how those two words would change the entire mold of my thinking at that point. You know, it was through those conversations that it hit me that it wasn't over for me. It was just getting started. And truth be told, while they were celebrating that graduation and while I was celebrating that upcoming graduation, as I've gotten a couple years older and looked around at my peers and adults around me, I realized we're always graduating. At every stage of our life, we're always graduating to that next step and that next point through our journey through life. Yeah, and that journey to seeking what's next can be daunting. You know, preparing for the future can be a daunting task. A new curriculum, a new semester, a new school year, a new grouping of students, it can be a daunting task, which kind of subsequently leads me to my topic today. Because when I look around, you know, I kind of developed a little bit of the smarts that you all have collectively. I think I'm more of a brilliant luminary than I was when I came here. Because I thought about it, I looked around, and I see this beautiful community. And so many of you are English experts and language arts experts, and you can help me with this. This is deep learning right now, okay? Here, just stay with me. When you spell the word community, you can't spell it without you and I. That's deep. As cheesy as that may sound, it hit me. You and I have work to do. Yeah, every single person here has to play a role in providing a better paved path of progression for not only ourselves, but for every student that walks on one of your educational campuses, which does lead me to my topic. So if you don't mind, I want to talk to you for a couple brief more minutes about finding and discovering the what's next in your life. Yeah, it's my hope that this message carries a sense of universality in its theme, to just remind everybody in this room that there is still time to make it happen. And I don't care what you do it to the best of your abilities, because there's still time on that clock for you to do what you got to do to make it happen. From peers to politicians, graduates to grandma. It's my hope that this message carries that weight, that you know that when you go out of this place, when you leave this beautiful conference, that you have the courage to ask for more. So if you're not too mean, I mean, we made some good friends this week. I mean, I got a couple. I see Eric right here. That's my guy. That's my guy. Michelle, Yeah, we family now. Do me a favor, look at a few people next to you, make some more friends, and just ask them real quick, what's next? All right, I said what's next, not how you doing, not what class are you teaching next week, not how spring break, not what flight is you going on, just what's next, what's next? So just a few years ago in my professional career, if you were to ask me, just a few years ago in my professional career, my brilliant educators, I feel like a teacher right now, this is great. If you were to ask me though, real quick, all right, real quick. If you were to ask me what's next, or if you were to ask me what's the things that were the things that made me so, I don't know, nervous, anxious, and just worried, without question, a few years ago, I would have told you it was the question of what's next, right after I did something that was monumental in my life. But over time, I kind of learned to not just face that question, but embrace that question. You know, it wasn't really a sad thing or a nervous thing. It was a reminder that there's always greater lying ahead. You know, it was a mantra to me then. It was like, okay, you've done great, but greatness doesn't rest. What's next? You know, and in life, I think we always hear these popular quotes and these worn-out cliches such as, oh, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that may hold some truth to some, but then I always remember the late, great Nelson Mandela that said it always seems impossible until it is done. And so, yeah, I mean, those quoteful words then became my anthem. Yeah, that's my battle cry against complacency. So they may say that if it was easy, everybody would do it, but what if I challenged you cognitively to say that it was easy? That it was possible? What if I said that the hurdles that we place and the impossibilities that we imagine in our minds were mere fallacies and only things that we depict ourselves? What if I even branched out and said you could do whatever you put your mind to? Okay, I know what some of you may be thinking. Okay, that sounds great, Kofi, but that's wishful thinking. That's cool, but you know, it's a great mentality, but it's a poor reality. But is it though? I mean, my life has been composed on believing in the unattainable and the unimaginable with a level of confidence as if I've seen it before. So, I mean, if you are an educator in here and you don't believe in better, I have advice for you. Go to the bathroom and don't come back. Because listen, I've come here today to realize that I refuse to let doubters or even people that don't believe themselves have authority or precedence in my life or anybody else's life that's around me. Or even let thoughtless haters have authority in my life. Because in a world that throws every distraction at you possible by way of social media and societal trends, I have to make the choice to speak truth to intrinsic power. Yeah. So what are the things that are needed to plan what's next? Why, I'm so glad you asked. In working with an amalgamation of people within my career so far, and I know you guys do your thing too, but I met some people and I found that there are three basic principles. They're basic in principle, but pregnant with possibility that are needed to finding out what's next in your life. There's three good things. First off, that I think we need is good preparation. Say preparation. Yeah, hear me when I say this. I really believe this. I believe that very constantly overlooked, but rarely undervalued is good preparation. Yeah. See, you need to have good preparation. You got to be rooted in something. I believe that a pathway to prosperity must be rooted in a foundation. A good future must be founded and prepared. You have to have yourself rooted in something, because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. So whatever you're doing now, the preparation, or whatever you want to do next, the preparation has to start now. At the beginning of this year, actually, I started a speaking tour titled Beyond the Keys. And what this speaking tour entails is me going across the country to different schools, colleges, and cities, and talking to a various, diverse group of people, all ages and demographics, gather around to have me do these talks. And the main idea of it is an unplugged conversation of me discussing my musical journey and entrepreneurship through the lens of social media growth. And I'm always kind of floored, because when I go to these events, so many people are so excited. They'll pack these buildings out to hear these conversations based off of things that they've seen in data and social media growth, and they want to hear these stories. But as inspired as they might be to hear the voice of me, I'm more inspired to see them and hear from them. Because, to see people that are hungry for that type of change is something that is so unique. Oftentimes, many times for us, reflection becomes a luxury when you move around a lot. You do a lot of things. You don't get a chance to look back and see the journey that you've been on. But, these talks have allowed me to see so much of the progress and also so much of the pain. And having conversations with so many people, one question that I always get in every city I go to, every school that I visit, every college that I go to, no matter the age group or who's talking to me, even little kids ask me this question. They say, Kofi, how do you confront doubt? What do you do when the worries of the world, the nerves get into your mind and the doubt creeps into your mind and you think you can't achieve the goals in your life? Actually, recently I did a session and there was a TV reporter that asked me this question. She said, how do you handle doubt? And in that moment, I never prepare my answers, but this just hit me in the moment when I was talking to her, and my answer was so simple yet profound. I told her, I said, doubt is just confirmation that you're dreaming big. It just hit me. It hit me because it hit me that doubt is not a roadblock, but it's more so a signpost on the pathway to greatness. Yeah, it's a reminder that we're daring to dream beyond the ordinary. And so when I saw that, I realized that because it was so important for me to realize that we have to prepare our foundations, though, because when we get that doubt, we have to make sure that it's undergirded in that faith, undergirded in the belief that you can achieve the attainable, do the impossible, and believe in those unimaginable things. And it was so important for me to tell that to her, and I couldn't believe that it came out to me. But it really has become my mantra, though. Doubt is just confirmation that you're dreaming big. There's a popular poem, though, that they taught us to in middle school, and I know that it's one of my favorite poems, and I know many of you teach it too. It's called, Dream Deferred by Langston Hughes. And listen, they taught it to us during Black History Month, and I'm sure you teach it to many of your students as well, but it's so short, I couldn't put you to sleep even if I tried, so we're gonna read it anyway. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? It's not rocket science. We're all educators here. In this poem, he's simply challenging what happens to that dream that's been placed to the wayside, put to that proverbial back burner, and hasn't been actualized. And when I read this poem in middle school, I was pissed. And the reason I became pissed is the same reason why he wrote it. Even as a 13-year-old, I never believed and understood that there was a person in this world that actually had a dream in themselves, and they thought so much that they couldn't actually believe and actualize it. But even when I read this poem as a 13-year-old, I made a declaration to myself that if I or anybody else in this world had a dream, drive, or purpose or passion around me, and they didn't think that it was possible, then I'd be doing a disservice to not only myself, but to every ancestor that has graced this beautiful earth before me to see the pathway set before me. Because it's up to us now to change the narrative and to be the changes that we want to see in this world and to do the things that are necessary to be successful. Yeah, we got to fight for change like Ali. Yeah, we got to unite like Dr. King. Spark new change like Shirley Chisholm. Shatter those ceilings like Amelia Earhart. Yeah, create new wealth like Madam C.J. Walker. And break barriers like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Happy Women's History Month and Black History Month, everybody. So the timing is now, the preparation is now. The preparation doesn't start when you're in the fire. It starts when you smell the smoke, baby. So not only do I think we need to have good preparation, but it kind of leads me to my second point. I think we need to have good character. Oh yeah, character is so important. Character is so essential. Character is so crucial. I believe that the heights of your success are dependent on the values in your character. Character is so important. I have met so many talented, skilled, and gifted people in this world with career-crippling character. Oh, they had all the makings of a star. They looked like a star. They sounded like a star. They sang like a star. They sounded like a celebrity with longevity. But then they started talking. I remember one time in middle school, me and a group of friends, I hate saying this story in front of a bunch of educators, and there's cameras around. I know they're listening in Ohio. Actually, you know what? I graduated already. There's nothing they can do now. So me and a group of friends was getting in trouble. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was getting in good trouble. Man, I was doing some of the stuff I was not supposed to be doing. But one thing that I will say that I thought I had deeper learning was good preparation. Yeah, don't clap for me. I prepared my best lies. I had an alibi for my alibi. I had a reason for my reason. My lies had lies. When I tell you I was ready, I was ready. I didn't think anybody could catch us, though, but the assistant principal actually caught wind of what I was doing. And she brought me and my peers into the office. But right when she was about to bring us to the office, I looked at my peers and I briefed them real quick. I said, stick to the script. I got this. I got this. I walked into this office. I sat down in the center chair, me and the assistant principal, just going one by one. I'm talking to her, and I start going at it. I start saying all of my lines, all of my explanations. It was just flowing so greatly out of me. At that moment, I realized I have a future in public speaking. That's what I realized, actually. But I was talking to her, I kept explaining my explanations, I kept going, but as I was explaining things, my assistant principal had a little smirk on her face, and then it turned to a smile, but nothing was funny, but the show must go on. So I keep giving her my stories, I keep giving her my explanations. Halfway through my real good Rolodex of lies, she looks at me and she yelled back at me, she said, Kofi, don't you understand? I already know you did it. You were on camera. I forgot to look around, no lie, it was 4 angles of everything I was lying about. Oh, man. And she said to me, she said, Kofi, don't you understand? Character is who you are and what you do when nobody is watching. Oh, and that resonated with me to this day. She was absolutely right. Character is who you are and what you do when nobody's watching, because the work you do when nobody's watching will contribute to the impact you have when everybody is. Yeah. I mean, it's not just about looking the part on paper, educators. What good is your degree or diploma when you have no decorum? How valuable is your quality education with no quality work ethic? How purposeful and powerful is a political position if all you wanted was the popularity? I just want to make sure I'm still on after that one. I know this is an educational conference. I didn't want to get too deep with it, but that was pretty cool. Okay, thank you. Thanks for not muting me, Gabriel. I appreciate that. So we have good preparation, we have good character, but it leads me to my third point. We need to have good purpose. Oh, purpose is so unique. Purpose to me is that gut feeling. I don't think that purpose is tied into any specific talent or skill set right off the bat, but I do believe that if you trust in your purpose, it'll lead you right to it. I'm a living testament of that. And while I believe that many educators in this world are great, well, many of them ain't. I'm not gonna lie. And as a student, it was very easy to find the teacher that had the career but didn't have their purpose. Yeah. How discouraging it was for the teacher to mute the mind of a student with passionate curiosity and just give them busy work. Or even to have the person that had the deep diving questions within the curriculum and the teacher just hit them with I don't know, just Google it. Nothing angered me more than to be a witness to a student's hunger for knowledge being starved by its source. There was something that was so important in that moment. I needed to understand why teachers need to have their purpose in the classroom, because it's so important. It's so important for you to know your purpose. It's so important for you to know your calling. But more importantly, it's also important for you to understand the value within the students that are on your educational campuses and their calling and their purpose as well. Because you never know how important a mindless observation is to a mindful student. For many students who come from broken homes and bleak horizons, your light might be the only thing that can give them the sight to see the pathways to their purpose. And this worked for me. I mean, you have to understand there's a power in you. There's a power in you seeing something in someone. And I'm speaking from experience. For me, music came into my life at a time when I needed it the most. And I'm going to try to get through this one without tearing up. So at the age of 8, I found music in my life. And my mom had just wanted to introduce me into a number of different activities. I mean, she saw that I was doing baseball, I was doing karate. Clearly, she saw that MMA and MLB wasn't in my future. She said, Kofi, do you want to try piano lessons? And I said, I'll give it a shot. I'll go and I'll do it. So we go to this group class and we walk in. I'm this big, tall 8-year-old and I'm around a multitude of small 5-year-olds. And I immediately knew that this probably wasn't going to be for me. So I looked at my mom right when I walked in and I gave her that it's time to go look. But unfortunately, on this day, my mother was not getting the hint of the rudeness that I was aiming to exude. Oh, it bothered me so much. My mom, she kept going, and we stayed in this room, and we stayed in this rehearsal room, and we go through this lesson, and I can already tell this will probably be one of one for me. While I'm going into this lesson, I end up ending the lesson, and now I'm ready to go. It's 1 hour that felt like multiple days lined up together. And then my mom ends up seeing that I'm ready to go and still not paying attention. She moves at a snail pace now, and she ends up meeting this assistant teacher whose name is Carolyn, and my mom's name is Carolyn. So now they're bonding on the beauty of their names being Carolyn. And so now I'm really upset, really frustrated. But this ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise, because that assistant principal then said to me, she said to my mother, she said, the head teacher, Trisha, wants to see Kofi, want to meet me and just see how I felt about the lesson. I went to her, and I was saying, okay, I'm going to be real diplomatic. My 8-year-old self, let's just go there and say thank you for the lesson, but this wasn't for me. I went to meet the teacher, and she looked at me, she shook my hand, and then she said something that I had never heard before. She said, Kofi, I see something in you. Oh, man. She saw the potential in the purpose. And see, the thing is that she doesn't understand is that a couple weeks earlier when she just said that, I'd never heard those words before. But a couple weeks ago, I just heard a voicemail from my father saying, you won't amount to anything, and you'll be worthless, and you'll be homeless. What did this woman really see in me? I mean, how could you see something in me? I'm broken. How can you really see something and believe in me? She said, just trust in me, Kofi. Just take these private lessons with me. I won't do the group lessons, but take these private lessons instead. If it doesn't work for you there, then it'll work for you here. But I need you to trust me. I need you to trust me. I had nothing. So I went with it. I bought into what she said. We went from these beginners books, and I went there for the first week of the private lessons. Second week, it was a learning curve. Third week, it was another learning curve. I still wasn't catching it, but she said, trust me. Just come back next week. Trust me. Fourth week, a breakthrough happens. We went from beginners books, and I started to catch on. Then we moved to intermediate books. Within the next week, we went from intermediate books to advanced books. My mom was supposed to be learning with me throughout this whole journey. Week after week, she would become more and more lost. Eventually, she became more and more late. And then she just ended up not showing up at all. A while back, actually, I went to have coffee with Miss Trisha, actually, and I asked her, I said, Trisha, why did you say those words to me in that moment? She said, Kofi, I saw that you paid attention in a way that most kids didn't. She said, you were desperate for music. She said, I knew that you weren't frustrated in that lesson because you didn't understand music. You were frustrated because you felt it enough, then you couldn't give that meaning in that moment. But if you trusted me, I'll get you there. She said, music's a language. It's your language. And everybody needs a language. That woman changed my life. There wouldn't be anything up here for me to talk about if it wasn't for that woman right there. I wouldn't be doing a single thing if it wasn't for that woman. She understood the potential in my purpose, and she reassured things with me. I was taking piano lessons for 3 months, and at this time, I'm also excelling academically in school. I don't know if you know this, but in the hood, playing piano and good grades is not a recipe for popularity. It isn't. So I was getting bullied, ostracized, ridiculed. A lot of my peers just weren't rocking with me. They did not think I was, one of them. And I was at the school that was just bringing me down. And eventually I went home with my mom, and I had this idea, and I said to my mom, I said, you know what? I'm going to start failing on purpose. I said, I'm not going to not do my homework, but I know the answer. I'm just going to get the wrong answer right. That way, I'll be able to fit in with my peers. That way, I'll be able to, be cool. I'll have friends, and I'll be able to rock with them, and I'll be able to be with them, and they'll like me. Mom, what do you think? She said, I'm going to get you out that school faster than you can chart that thing down. So she got me out of that school, but we were introduced into this performing arts school titled Miller South, School for Visual and Performing Arts. And I know that looks a little crazy, but if you can just get the image of what this place looks like, it reminds me so much vividly of what that school is. A school that really nurtured the arts and creativity. I went to that school playing for 3 months while my peers were playing for 3 years as a 4th grader. In Akron Public Schools, this school is one of the cream of the crop when it comes to socioeconomic statuses of students that attend there and parents that have their students go there. So you take me from one school where so many students are dealing with so many, just a lot of things socioeconomically. They're at the bottom of the bottom when it comes to statistics. And then you take me to a place like Miller South where all these students have parents that are in that lower upper class or upper middle class. And I'm seeing things like name brands and Aeropostale, American Eagle, Ralph Lauren. I'd never seen that stuff before I went to this school. I was so nervous to be in this environment because I didn't think that it was going to work for me. And I remember I would go back and I would always be reclusive. But at home, I was me. I was having fun. I like to be around family and do my thing. And I was like, man, this school is not going to work for me. But eventually, I went home and came back to school, and then the teacher, a couple months into the class, said, we're gonna do an individual project. This project, I want you to create an infomercial of a fake product, and I want you to show it to us in school. At school, I was reclusive and not talking to anybody and hard to make friends for the first few months, but at home, I was Kofi. I was fun, I was energetic. So I went home and I made this amazing commercial with my family. We were all acting in it and doing everything that we had to do. And I presented it to my classmates in school. And we put the VHS into the TV, because that's what I had at the time. And we pressed play on the video. And at that moment, I had forgotten that that was who I was at home, not at school. They had never seen that side of me before. I was nervous. I was scared. I was like, oh no, this is back to how it was back at the old school. They're going to bully me. They're going to think I'm a nerd and all this different stuff. But it was the exact opposite. Every person that was in that classroom was laughing, not at me, but with me. Yeah. Laughing at the video. They were enjoying the moment. Their jaws were dropped. And then there was one girl that said this moment, and it always kind of gets me to this day. She said, now we see who the real Kofi is. She changed my life. There was two things that happened in that moment, though, that I always paid attention to. Two things that I kind of consider as the mantra for me. There was two things that I identified. It's like a peer-to-peer, student-to-student reassurance, and then there's staff-to-student or educator-to-student reassurance. Both of those things were so important in finding my purpose and making sure that everything I was doing was necessary for success. I mean, I didn't realize it at that time as a kid, and I don't know why it was given to me, but I'm so glad that it was. More importantly, I'm so glad that I'm in a room around educators that are passionate around bringing this type of change to the classrooms. Because so many times we don't see this anymore. We're in environments where we don't have people that have the hunger and the courage to ask for more like you all do. You know, there's a thing in this world. It's the most powerful thing that's ever been graced on this planet. And catch this, only you really have the keys to it. And it's your mind. Yeah, you have the ability to galvanize this world with your mind, to change the world with your mind, to be an influencer, a role model, a difference maker, and a wealth generator with your mind. The power that's vested in yourself is something that's too valuable and too worthy to be overlooked. You gotta understand the potential in your purpose. I remember as a kid before school, every morning, my mom would call me and my two older brothers before school. She'd say, Kofi, Kwame, Andre, come here. You never knew if she was mad or angry. That's just the way she sounded every time. One by one, we'd come to see her, and she'd bring us to this bathroom mirror, and she'd say, Kofi, repeat after me. What I am looking for is in me. The past has no power over me. Negative thoughts have no power over me. Today is a wonderful day and a new beginning because I choose to make it so. And even before this day, before every major interview and opportunity, I always made sure that I say that same message. But as I got older, I started to question. I said, how could a woman that dealt with so much emotional, relational, and financial abuse have the strength to look into a mirror and recite such a powerful message to her kids that needed it the most each morning? And then it hit me. She knew her purpose. Yeah, she understood that it didn't matter if she felt those words, but she knew that if she could just at least look in a mirror and have the hope of strength be reflected onto some kids that needed it the most, that maybe they just listened to what mama's voice had to say. Because so many people in this world want to always look around and say, oh, I wish I had that person that could show me how to be successful. Or, oh, I wish I had that person that could show me the blueprints to achieving the highest pinnacles of success. And to that person in the room that's always constantly crying and trying and always trying to find that one person that can show them how to be successful, don't worry, I found it. It's right here. Yeah. All you gotta do is look in a mirror, because in that mirror, you'll find your success. In that mirror, you'll find your inspiration. In that mirror, you'll find everything that you've always been looking for, because it's been in you the whole time. You gotta stop searching, start succeeding, stop wondering, start working, stop wishing, start winning, stop doubting, start developing, stop pretending, start preparing. I can keep going. Stop receding and start rising. I stand here more optimistic than ever, more empowered than ever before, more convinced than ever before to know that the greatness that's been etched upon every one of your lives has the potential to be fully relinquished by the time we exited. This conference has been amazing, but I know that I'm surrounding myself around individuals that are destined for nothing short of success. You have the ability to achieve the impossible, believe the unimaginable, do the unthinkable, and refuse to drown in the oceans of doubt or sink in the pools of defeat. Y'all not hearing me today. And if you were to leave this room this evening or this afternoon and never remember a single word that was said this whole conference, shame on you. How could you do that? I mean, it's crazy. But hear me out. At least let these 3 words that I say here echo in your hearts and minds forever. Make it happen. I mean, in whatever you're aspiring to do in this world, simply make it happen. If you want to make better creative curriculum for your classroom, make it happen. If you want to be an influencer and a role model and an innovator, make it happen. If you want to be the example and the change that you aim to see within your districts, make it happen. And whatever you got to do, just make sure you make it happen. Because it won't get done unless you do it. You got to trust in yourself, believe in yourself, but also understand this, that timing is everything. Yeah, people could see my journey right now, and they could think that it was just oops, let me go back. I'm sorry, my bad. I thought I was being smooth with it. People could look at my journey right now and think that I was just an overnight sensation, right? You see me up here, you see the videos and everything like that, but they never see the past 10 years of battling the ridicule, the scars, and the negativity of building the dreams that I've been living now as a 24-year-old man. But even at the beginning, about 2 years ago, I experienced doubts as to whether or not music would work for me as a full-time career. I mean, I was making the videos, I was making the shows and doing all the things that I needed to do, but it just felt like I was never turning that corner and getting to that point. All of my work seemed to be falling on deaf ears. And I was like, man, this is not gonna happen. But even throughout those moments, I never forgot to prepare. I never forgot my character, and most importantly, I never forgot my purpose. And then something happened. A couple months later, a friend of mine had reposted a video of me playing this popular version of this song called Say Yes by Floetry. I mean, a song that I played hundreds of times in my life, and overnight, one 4-year-old video goes viral. At the beginning of that year, I was wondering if music was gonna work in my life. But at the beginning of this year, I'm on national television talking about how it has. So if you believe one narrative about your life, you'll move one way, right? But if you believe the path, purpose, and destined plan that's been narrated for your life, then you'll find yourself moving in a whole different way. I'm telling you, I'm a firm believer of that. So I took that moment and I ran with it. I created more moments, more opportunities, more music, more content. I wanted to show this world that I wasn't just an overnight sensation, a fad, or a trend. I mean, it may have took 10 years for you to look my way, but make no mistake, I'm here to stay. In a single night, life went from wondering if music could work to hundreds and all your favorite celebrities and thousands of people sharing, liking, and contributing to making my version of Say Yes the second most listened and viewed to version of all time. Earlier this year, or last year, I was on the Tamron Hall show, and I'm out of here on this one. She asked me a question that didn't make the air. We were filming the whole time, and she said, Kofi, to the person watching, there's thousands of people or millions of people watching this show right now. What do you say to the one person that's looking to thrive in their purpose, but they can't do it? And it's so funny, when she said that to me in the filming, I laughed. Because ironically, my entire life, all I've ever said is that all you need to get through this world is one person or one yes. And how fitting that the song that helped to change my life was titled Say Yes. And while that may be one of my favorite R&B songs and part of the reason many of you have students right now in your classrooms, I'm a firm believer that in this world, all you really need is one person or one yes. Yeah, it only takes one person in this room to spark a change. It takes that one person to launch a community. And then it takes that community to ignite a city. That city inspires a state. That state can revolutionize a nation. And that nation can change the world. Be that one person. Be that individual, be that leader that wakes up every day wanting to never waste a day. That person that's so focused and so excited on being even better today than they were yesterday. Because your what's next is right now. Your bright future is right now. Your new chapter of change in this book of life that you're writing, my friends, it starts right now. And my question to you all is, how will you write it? Thank you.
Oh my God.